Tonight we have a privilege to have Pastor Tryphena with us. You know, I'm going to take 30 seconds to talk about her, and then I'm going to pass the time to her. But Pastor Tryphena, I don't know if you remember, but pre-COVID, 2 years ago, I met her at her office, and I remember that meeting like it was yesterday. She's a warm person, a lovely person, but one thing that really stood out for me about Pastor Tryphena is that her heart. So tonight, I want you to catch her heart, because she's got a real big, warm heart for people who are struggling, people who needs love, people who are asking questions, people who want to be accepted. She has a real big heart for them. So I want you all to catch her heart tonight and hear what she has to say. I think I'm okay to reveal this, that, and I'm sure she'll talk about it, that she has overcome her same-sex attraction, and now she is pastoring in a ministry to help people overcome as well, to understand it, to overcome, and what can we do as the body of Christ? That's the bigger question tonight. What can we do as a body of Christ to reach out better to our brothers and sisters? She runs a ministry to help the LGBTQIA community. And I would leave it to her to tell you more about that ministry. But can everybody in the chat group give a very great 𝑠𝑒𝑟𝑡 young adult welcome to our guest speaker today, Pastor Tryphena. Pastor Tryphena.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Wow, that's an overwhelming introduction that that kind of stopped me from speaking already. So I need to settle down. Okay. I think what I would do is this: before I even want to speak anything else, before I want to share anything else, I think the best is for you to get to view or get to watch the story of the person who's going to talk to you. And it's for you to discern. I don't have all the answers, honestly, because I'm not God. And I don't say that everything that I did was in a manner that did not hurt anybody. I may have hurt somebody along the way, okay? But at the same time, tonight, just allow me to speak from an angle of someone who have gone through, who have maybe to some they do not struggle, but for me personally, I did struggle, and I did mess up my life. And if it's not because of the grace of God in my life, I think tonight I would have been even worse. I want to be as open as possible, as vulnerable as possible to talk about tonight's topic. And I'm not here to judge anybody, to discriminate anybody, but I'm here to talk from a different angle of a group that has been also transformed by God, a group that wants to walk the path that God has given to them in such a way. So, even as I share tonight, allow me to do a little bit of history in a way, okay? Just telling you what is happening right now, and then at the same time, trying to answer some of the questions that you guys has already posed even much early, okay? Now, I represent this organization called PLUC. We've been around for this is our 19th year. And I've been serving for the last 18 years by the grace of God. Now, honestly, if you ask me, Tryphena, do you really want to be in this kind of ministry? In my early days, no, because it is so painful when you have encountered such a pain before, and to journey with people with pain. Because in this organization, it is open for those who want to discover who they really are. It is open for those who are in pain and they want to face their pain, because facing pain takes a lot of courage, okay? So we have been around for the last 19 years by the grace of God. And why do we call ourselves PLUC? Because many, many years ago in Singapore and Malaysia, the word PLU stands for people like us, all the gay community. So if someone were to come up to you and say, I'm a PLU, don't be shocked, because after tonight, you would know that. But today's generation, they don't use the word PLU anymore because it gets more and more complicated. But PLU does represent the gay community. So even if anyone were to Google, by the way, tonight, if when anything that I share, you are mature enough. You are an adult I'm speaking to. And if you choose to Google and you choose to indulge in it, and at the end of the day, you know, you are you're kind of being influenced by their ideology, whatever. Can I say this? It is your responsibility. All right. I don't want you to come to a point where, oh, Pastor Isaac, Pastor Tryphena said we Google. That's why I fell, because I went ahead with and follow what she said. Excuse me, this one is not it's not under my account. Okay. My account is full with other things. So we are focusing on this threefold mission. And what I'm doing tonight is very simple. It's just on the part where we call advocate. I'm here to bridge a gap between the church and the people or the community of LGBT. I strongly believe that the church can bridge to the LGBT community. Okay, and I strongly believe that the church is a big hospital. And if the church is not able to take in anybody, something is wrong with that church. But how can we still be a compassionate church without compromising? And I'm speaking to a group of you here, your YA, whereby I know that I have no difficulty in convincing you to love them. I would not have this struggle in telling you to love the LGBT community. But instead, I think tonight, my end goal is this, that at the end of the day, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, just like what Joel mentioned just now, what would Jesus do? In all the situation that you're going to encounter, not just dealing with LGBT, but in any other things which is not in God's plan, what would you do? Just like what would Jesus do? Okay, so this is what we do. We relate as in pastoral care, pastoral counseling, and of course, I got to know your pastors because of the YPA at the time, and that's part of the educate, part of the training that we provided. Now, gender itself is very complicated, and tonight, when we talk about sexuality, okay, sexuality and gender is two different words, and you also need to differentiate between LGBT as in the issue and LGBT as in the agenda. So it's a two different thing. Okay, you can be talking to somebody who's not struggling with same-sex attraction, not struggling with being a transgender, but that person is not pushing for an agenda. Okay, and it's because of today's generation, what is happening in the world today. There is an agenda that's being pushed, an ideology that is being so-called being imposed, that globally you need to accept it. It comes to a stage that people like me is known as fake. That means I do not exist. My change is fake. So if my change is fake, what you watched just now, the pain that I went through, it is fake. So I want to appeal to all of you who are listening tonight. If you have a burden for me, please speak for people like me too. A community that's been transformed by God, who do not want to be what they call threatened by the agenda. Please speak for us. I'm not here against the LGBT community, but I am not in for the agenda. That's a difference there that I want to share tonight. Okay. So if your friends come up to you and say, I'm a gay, how do you feel? Like I say tonight, most of you here will be, it's all right, cool. Yeah, you know, what's up, bro? You know, or with your BFF, you know. So how do you get into it? You know, all these things. I mean, you have no issue conversing. You have no issue connecting, because I'm very sure that you already have friends who are LGBT. Now, you see, I use the word friends. They are your friends. But supposing someone that you truly love, someone who is your, maybe, you know, your someone that you look up to, your cell leader and so forth, and out of nowhere, they suddenly come and tell you that they are struggling with this. How do you really feel? Some of us may feel shocked. Some of us may feel, you know, fearful or whatever. By the way, all this feeling of yours, it is natural, right? It is valid. Now, when we talk about this whole issue of gender, it is not something that just happened overnight. Can I say that? It's not like, oh, yesterday it happened, then, then today we are just talking about it. No, we're talking about something that even took place, in fact, as early as 1800, where you have all the Industrial Revolution and everything. That's where the ideology started to change, even pertaining to marriages, sexuality, and so forth. But it was somewhere in the late 1960s and early 1970s where the pro-gay movement began to be very active. Okay, and I know that it's also part of it is because they were discriminated, they were persecuted, but they were pushing an agenda that's very different here. So what happened is this: during that time, there were already this word, very powerful, and the word is called imprinting, or another word I will use, grooming. They started to groom people that will make a change. And I'm sure that's what's happening in your church right now. Your pastoral team and everything, every week after week, day after day, they are actually grooming something. They're planting the seed in you and groom that seed so that this seed have a chance to be healthy. But what happened in this whole gender revolution is this: they began to groom two different groups of people. One is those who are going to be very influential politically. Then they are able to change the law, okay? Because they are not only politicians, they may be people in the legal field. They can speak and they can make changes in the law, okay? So this is the first group. And the second group, if you notice that even these emojis and all these things are very subtle. The message that is bringing across is very subtle. The whole ideology that gender is no longer a male and female is very subtle. It all happens at least more than 50 years ago, whereby another group rise up being groomed is a group that is involved with media, social media. If you saw that short story just now, it actually done professionally. It's a professional, it's a good camera and so forth, because God also raised up a group of young people to be doing the media, to use media to also bring forth a message of truth, to also bring forth a voice for those who are minority. I always say that I'm the minority of the minority of the minority. You understand what I'm saying? Because first and foremost, I was a lesbian. Okay, and then a lesbian who has been transformed by God. And then a lesbian not only has been transformed by God and standing out publicly and telling a story. Isn't he a minority of the minority of minority? So there are very few of us, but we exist. We do exist. So very subtly, gender has revolutionized, okay, the word. Things have started to change. Now I'm sure all of you know the moment I show this, okay, this is not a rainbow flag. But a group of them say this is a rainbow flag. As far as you and I know, since the day we were in school, rainbow has 7 colors. But there are only 6 colors here because this is a gay pride flag. By the way, the month of June is the gay pride month in US. All right. So, wow, we didn't plan to do it this month, the talk, but somehow it took place this month. And this is the gay pride flag. And if you look at it, ask Mr. Google. This is from Mr. Google. Beside that gay pride flag, there's still other flags. So you're living in a world that is very complicated. And believe me, it is, I'm sure a lot of the 40 and above, they're going to scold me. Okay. But honestly speaking, your generation, the moment you came into this world, I'm so sorry, you came into a very chaotic world. You came into a world where it is so messed up. You came into the world where marriages no longer is stable, it's so fluid, it is so loose. You came into the world where you don't even see there is peace. You came into a world full of chaos. If it's not because of God, I don't think there is peace in us. Okay, so when you look at this is actually an LGBT flag. In fact, I've shown this years before. So imagine how early it started. Okay. So look, there's so many other flags, and I'm sure there are many more flags today. By the way, this list is non-exhaustive, just like some of you were trying to say, oh, with a K, with a whatever. Yeah, just very briefly, I just put it as LGBTIQA. By the way, in today's community, okay, LGB does not want to associate with T because it's a two different categories. LGB will be mainly in our field, or psychologically, we will say that it's more on gender identity insecurity. But those who are in transgender or the T will be more on gender dysphoria or gender. In the past, they used the word gender identity disorder. So the LGB do not want to be with the T, but in the past, it's always been grouped together because it's all small cluster. And then you have the I, okay? I is intersex, which means that they are born with a child that's born with two ambiguous genitalia. That means a male and a female genitalia together, okay? So it's another different field. So, but it's like being lumped together, okay? And then you have questioning, or another word is queer. But questioning is mainly for those who are very fluid in terms that they have not decided to be, you know, what do you call it, male or female, or even transgender or whatever. Okay, but today another group has kind of rise up. Okay, very young. Usually, you will find them even among the youth. In fact, recently one pastor called me up and say, "Tryphena, I have one of our cell member told the cell leader, please don't call me, please don't address me with pronoun like she or he or they. You know, I mean, she or he. Just call me they, or just call her something else. Actually, it's a she. All right. So it's getting more and more complex. Reason why you and I were living in such a world that's so fluid. Now, very quickly, there are at least about 29 countries up to date. This is till last year. Okay, I was in the YPA, I think in 2018 or 2019. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. And that time there wasn't so many yet. Okay, so if you look at the list, there are already 29 on the list, and this is going to be one of the things that your friends are saying. Hey, look at the list here. A lot of them are Christian nations. A lot of them are Catholic nations. What's wrong with the Christians? Okay, what's wrong with it? And we have a split. We have a disunity actually, regarding this whole topic. You'll find that there will be a group called Christian gays. And even the Christian gays, there are two camps. There's a side A and side B. A side A will strongly believe that they are born this way and God designed them this way. And therefore, there's nothing wrong for us to continue to live with our partners and married. Then you have the side B, which believe that, we are born this way, but God didn't design us this way. Therefore, we need to remain celibate. But for us, we are not in side A, side B. We are in another camp where we strongly believe that it is not only the nature of sin, but it's also psychological, which I will talk much more later. So if you look at the list here, there are already 29. And I can assure you that there'll be many more because we're living in the last days. I don't get shocked when I see a name up there, but I continue to pray because my hope is in Jesus. My hope that I regardless whether they want to change or not, but I still want to reach out to them with a message of hope and the cross. I'm not there to change their sexuality. I'm not there to change their preferences or their orientation. I'm there to bring Christ to them. Because if they come before the Lord, if they are Bible-believing Christian, God will speak to them. They will do what God wants to do, just like what was mentioned today. What would Jesus actually do? Now, this is a magazine in 2017, which is the title is Gender Revolution. Very interestingly, this magazine stated that Facebook have 50 types of gender. Now, I don't know all of you here, and sometimes I'm kind of getting used talking to the camera and assuming that you're all hearing me and looking at the camera and looking at it. I just have to be thick skinned and just do that, all right? But honestly speaking, in this magazine, there are 50 types of gender mentioned in Facebook, which means that, let's say conservatively, you and I, most of us here will believe that there were two, okay, majority. And the most that you would kind of push a little bit your boundary would be the third gender. So what happened to the 47? Where are the 48 and 47? How in the world they existed? Let's go back again, because many years ago, it's about ideology. Pushing this ideology that all of us here have a right to choose and decide what we want to do. Now, again, some ask, hey, by the way, please don't preach to us. Please don't tell us to change because we are born this way. Now, this is not what I say, okay? This is Dr. Lisa Diamond. She's also a lesbian herself, and she's also a gay activist. And she's also a psychologist. And this is actually, she's part of APA. And you can go to this, the YouTube, and you Google her, and you can actually watch her teaching over there that talks about this. She's telling the gay community, she's saying this, all right, please stop promoting that you're born this way. Now, I've been involved for the last 18 years, and I've yet to meet anybody that's born this way, including myself. But instead, the more I hear about the pain, the more I hear about certain things that they go through, the stories are different because they're all unique. They're all different. So I can't give a definite ABC, makes them like this, okay? Or CDE caused them to be like this. But what happened here is this: Dr. Lisa Diamond told the gay community, told the activists, stop promoting that you're born this way, because up to date, there is no scientific evidence yet to prove that one is born this way. But instead, Dr. Lisa Diamond opens another floodgate. She's saying this, that sexual orientation is fluid. Sexual orientation is fluid means what? Attraction, behavior, identity is all fluid. Whereby, it's like, if I don't feel like being a girl, now you hear the word I use, if I don't feel that I'm supposed to be a boy, I'm going to be someone else. If I want to be like this, I become like this. That's why right now it's no longer 50 types of gender. It's gone way past 100 types of gender. Way past, okay? So which means that as long as I feel I'm like that, I create a name. I create this name. That's why I don't want to use the pronoun he or she. I will have another kind of name. There's so many until I cannot remember all those names. Now, let me just go into this. Biologically, you and I, we are made of XY or XX chromosome, okay? Like, for example, Joel, no matter how you try to change your physical appearance, honestly speaking, no matter how you try to change it, there's one thing that will never change, that is your XY chromosome, okay? And even for, even for myself, my paternal grandmother was trying to blame my mom because the firstborn is me and it is an XX. Now, my dad has XY, my mom has XX. That determines the biological sex, male and female. The problem is, okay, no matter how hard my mother works or no matter whatever ginseng she takes, it's still an XX, okay? She will never be able to produce a son because the Y chromosome comes from her husband, which is my father. Okay, but what happened here? There's a difference between biological sex and gender. Gender no longer is attached to biological sex. So today, when we talk about gender, it is so fluid because it's all about their feelings, their, at a given culture. It's no longer about their biological sex, their given biological sex. Okay, so what happened is that as long as I want to be who I want to be, so then the name begin to be created. And the thing is this, it is so political that that there is a gender behind it. Okay, that's why you will have issues with very young child at the age of maybe in their primary school. Now, I'm challenging all of you to think about this. Okay, a young child in primary school, probably about 8. Honestly speaking, if you are 8 years old, do you think you can make sound decision? Let's be honest. If you think you can make sound decision, all right, I think my head's off. Okay, but majority, they do not know how to make sound decision. So when they have this struggle within them and say, Mom, Dad, I feel like I'm a boy, but I'm trapped in a girl's body and I want to change. Now, what's happening today is this: the agenda is being pushed to such a way that the parents no longer have the right to stop the child from doing what she wants to do at the age of 8. That's the agenda. Now, let me come to this, okay? Because I still want to go back to the very fundamental foundation, which is the Word of God. Because in Genesis 1:27, you have heard this umpteen times since you started this talk. I've been hearing Isaac mentioning this again and again and again. One man, one woman, one man, one woman in all the talks. Honestly speaking, if you look at this scripture carefully, not only he created male and female, he has created them in his own image. That is the beauty of all his creation. 127 says that he made us in his own image. And in his image, he created them. Two of them, male and female, he created them. And if you read on, 137 says what? Of all his creation, this creation is very, very good. We are actually, God has made us so good. But we've forgotten that not only he has created us in his image, and chapter 2, verse 24 is where he created marriage. Marriage is, here over, you read the scripture say, the man leaves his father and mother and united with his wife. He didn't say united with his husband, and they become one flesh. But what happened here, if you read on in chapter 3, that is where I always say this, okay? I always say that chapter 3 is where human rights started. Because man wants to become God, okay? Man wants to exercise their right. I want to do what I want to do. Now, God has already made man to be in control, to rule the whole world, to rule the whole garden, in fact, to rule the whole place, except for one, the tree of knowledge. That's the one that God still wants to remind us of his sovereignty, that even though he has given us that authority to exercise our will, our right, but we still come under the lordship of God. But what happened in Genesis chapter 3 is man began to disobey God. Now, hear me carefully here. Even though man disobeyed God, there's one thing that's never lost from that man, is that image of God. Even when he walks away from God, the image of God is still with him. So God's original creation is this. Unless you don't believe, if you don't believe in the Bible that you're reading, whatever things I shared tonight is nothing. Then can you please allow me to speak from a different angle biblically, so that those who are struggling here tonight, and those who have friends who are struggling, at least they have an opportunity to look for help. They have an opportunity to get hope. Okay, let's be respectful in the sense. That's what I'm doing also. To be respectful of my friends who doesn't want to change, but they're still my friend. And I will still share with them when they ask me. I say God's original creation is very clear. One man, one woman, one husband, one wife. Hello. One wife. Okay. And if you're not married today, you still got lots and lots of time to pray for the right person. Because once you're married, like Isaac, like it or not, till death do us part. Okay. Whether you got the flabby or non-flabby, okay, your wife will still want you. Okay. Don't worry. All right. Don't go and fight with her over the flap. Okay, I heard the message. Now, there's a difference between God's creation and God's gender revolution. It's all got messed up because man's desire to disobey God has created chaos in the world. From one man, one woman, it becomes multi-gender. It becomes multiple marriage. It becomes different family system. It's no longer till death do us part. And my heart's desire is churches be that platform that do address a lot of things in the area of sexuality, not just about what I want to talk tonight. Now, some of you here will say, Tryphena, but you don't understand. These are my good friends. You know, they also don't know why they're like that. Now, I've spoken about the spiritual part, the biblical side, whereby because of sin, men do fall. All right. Because of sin, man actually walk away from God and walk away from the path of God. But besides this, in my 18 years of being in the ministry, whereby 91% of people that we journey with are so-called Christians. Okay, so when I get to hear their stories, I realize that there are a lot of other contributing factors to it. I won't want to say about nurture, nature, whatever thing here, but I want to talk about they are things that they've gone through that have contributed to certain brokenness in their life or certain deficits in their life. And of which one of it is very prominent is the issue called attachment theory. So if you're studying counseling, you're studying psychology, you will know what I'm saying. Because in the first, especially the first 5 years of a child's development, if they are secure, all right, with their caregiver, it can be their parents, it can be their nanny or whatever, but if they're secure, that they don't have this, they were not left unattended to, they were not like abandoned or whatever, believe me, the child will grow up very secure in connecting with people. Okay, so this is the psychological side, which is related to attachment, but also Erik Erikson did mention, when it comes to the stage of teens, let's say after the first 5 years, the first 12 years, okay, and we did not address some of those contributing factors or some of the pain that they've gone through, or maybe bad things that happen to them. The trauma can be trauma A, which is absence of good things, trauma B, which is bad things that happen in their life. So if they have this trauma, it can cause fear, it can cause depression, it can cause panic attack, it can cause, they have social, detachment and so forth. And when it comes to the stage where they are at their teens, that's where, the search for their identity. And if it's not being affirmed, that's where we get confused. Now, what I'm trying to say is, throughout the years of handling so many hundreds of cases, I've yet to see one that is born this way. Because when I look at my own life, I come to accept that, number one, I'm not born this way. Okay, I was definitely born, and I still believe I have XX chromosome in me, no matter how I change my outer appearance. And not only that, today I'm no longer a lesbian. It's because not only I know that I'm not born this way because of my faith, because I found my true gender identity in the Lord. I've discovered that. You've seen the story that I had. I'm really very messed up, honestly speaking. I was a sex addict. Not only I was a lesbian for a short period, I even traveled with men and became a bisexual. I'm that filthy, okay? And every time when I look at it, initially I was still a little bit embarrassed, but I've come to realize that it is God's story, and I just want to give God the glory for what He has done in my life. And if my mess, all right, can give hope to somebody, why not? Okay, why not? But importantly is I took time to work through the deep issues in my life. Now, you got to know that if someone were to come up to you, today most of them would just be out of closet. They openly come up to you and say, I'm one. I'm an LGBT, I'm a queer, I'm still questioning, whatever. They're very open to share with you their identity that they embraced. But there's also another group of them who are in the closet, they're hiding. And I want to encourage this group. You might be here tonight and you're in the closet. But I want to challenge the church as a whole. How do you view them? How do you see them? Because for your friends to want to come out to get help, it's not easy. For your friends to come out and tell you that they are struggling, it's not easy. I'm not talking about those who openly, I'm talking about those who are in the closet, those who are really struggling, like what Joel said just now. For those who are not struggling, I'm very respectful of your decision. And I don't have right to actually change you at all. In fact, I can't change anybody. Okay, I don't have the power to change anybody. But my question for all of the rest here tonight, I hope that by end of tonight, there is a change in the way you look at people who are different than you. Do you see them different? Do you see them unholy? Do you see them a sinner, a pervert? Honestly, you look at the mirror, how are they different than you? They're no different than you. If you look at them this way, you will never be able to connect with them. Because you put yourself at a higher pedestal. You put yourself at a higher platform where you look down on them. Oh, I think you need God. Please keep the Bible for yourself. That's for you. All right? Don't use your Bible and whack people. But can Can you see them? I hope tonight, for those of you who are kind of like a bit hardened towards the LGBT, or those who are different than you, I'm not just talking about LGBT, anyone who's so different, can you see them through the lens of Jesus as people who needs God, as the unreached people group? I love this elderly man. He's the one that pushes the movement. One man, one woman, one husband, one wife, till death do us part in US, California. Okay. And he was telling, I remember hearing him in 2005 in Canada. And that was my first time ever traveling overseas, believe me. Okay. And I went all the way there, and I was actually getting to hear, and he happened to stand up and say the message, church is not the building. Hello. All of you here, you are the church. Church, can you please change your lens? If your lens has been very legalistic, change it. If your lens has been too compromising, change it. Please look at them through the lens of Jesus as people who needs the cross, the unreached people group. So what can you do tonight? I'm going to end very soon, and then you can bombard me with questions. Okay? What can you do tonight? Now, I'm making it very simple. I call this presentation combo. It's all combo together. Okay. So what can you do tonight? Hear me, very, very important. Don't pray gay away. Please. Please never, never pray gay away. No wonder they dare not come to church. No wonder they hated the church. Because in the past, they were Christians who are so extremist, using the Bible to whack them and humiliate them and lay hands and cast out the demon of gay away. Wow, I tell you, if we want to do this, we're going to be very busy, the church. All your pastors here are going to be very busy because they need to pray away the spirit of plagiarism. They need to pray away the spirit of laziness. They need to pray away the spirit of online gaming. They need to pray away, now it's online shopaholic. And then you have K-drama. Wow, all this spirit I have to pray away. Can you please pray? As you pray that the Lord comes and touch their brokenness. Can you pray that they have the strength to find help? They have the strength to face the pain that they are facing. Let's not fall into this trap of praying this away. Now, it's very different than you binding and praying for someone who is demon possessed. It's very different. Okay, so can you please help me? If you know anybody who is doing this, this is recorded, so it's very good. I'm going to make it formal here. If you know of any churches or any pastors who are doing this, please send me a WhatsApp or send me an email, because I'm going to go and I'm going to see this pastor. I'm going to give him my peace of mind. I assure you I will do that. Okay, because we are not supposed to do this. But instead, what can you do? Be a safe place. What is safe place means? If tonight, if your cell, all the cells that's represented here in YA, if tonight this YA is not a safe place when I can just come out and say, hey, Pastor Miranda, I mess up. I step around. If this YA is not a safe place, I pray that it will be. I pray that it will be. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of church being fake. I pray that church will be a safe place, non-judgmental. Now hear me. When I talk about acceptance, I'm not talking about affirming. There is a difference with being gay-friendly, sinners-friendly, thief-friendly, plagiarism-friendly, and the difference with gay affirming or sin affirming, lies affirming, stealing affirming. We are called to be a friendly church for anybody. I hope that one day I can write. I hope that I'm prompted to write this. That the church can be a community of hospitality for anybody that can come in. where they feel that they're not judged, where they can see that it is an authentic church, a real church, a caring church, a loving church, a genuine church. We need a genuine community. I pray tonight, maybe some of those, that you have seen, so-called, you look at them, they're not like that, therefore, why should I? Why shouldn't you be authentic? Why shouldn't you be real? Why must you be looking at the older ones and therefore, whatever they're doing, then you're no different than them, honestly? You can make a difference tonight. They can learn from you how to be respectful, yet, hear me, not compromising and not affirming. We can be respectful of people who are so different than us. Let me share with you a story, and I usually use this as an analogy. I have friends who smoke. Of course, I did smoke before last time, okay? Yeah, confession time. In fact, I messed up with everything except with drugs, okay? So I drink, I smoke, you won't believe it, right? Okay, but I did, And I have friends who smoke. And after, all the Hokkien mee that we ate, and near 222 there, after that, and they would just take out the cigarette and start to puff. They will puff and puff, wow, 𝐍𝐢𝐠𝐡𝐭 whatever. And what happened is that every time when they start to do that, I walk away. I just excuse myself and I walk away. And I did that for quite a few times. And one day, one of them asked me, Tryphena, why every time when we smoke, you walk away? Then I asked, you're sure you want to know? Now, that's the best way of asking for permission to talk. I said, yeah, you're sure you want to know? Okay, I don't want to be a secondhand smoker. You see, I'm being very respectful. I didn't tell them to stop smoking, but does it mean that I condone it? I choose to walk away. Does it mean that I'm weak? No. Because after that, whenever we go out, they will all walk away and puff somewhere else and allow me to finish my Hokkien noodle. That is being respectful. Okay, so I come up with this very simple equation. If you make them feel safe, if they feel that you love them, trust, and your relationship with them is very genuine, and you do give them time. So what I'm trying to say here is this: it's going to take a long time if you ever want to journey with somebody. Now, if you can do this, this will make very healthy friendship. Then your friends will consider help. Your friends will consider change. But whether they will or not, I still do not know, but they might consider it. Okay. So just now the movie, the short story that you have seen, you can get it at True Love Daughters. You can go to their IG, you can go to their what they call the Facebook or the web page, and you can get it. Because most of us there, we don't just come out, we have come home. We have come home to the Lord. Okay. I'm going to leave behind our contact number for you. Please, you can ask me anything. Even if you do not agree to what I say, you can still engage with me. All right. I'm very respectful of that. You want to bombard my email, by all means, you can bombard as well. Okay. We are open for conversation. We are open for chats. Okay. But if you know of somebody who one day is seeking for support, do give our numbers to them. Or you yourself, you're looking for support, by all means, give us a call. Can I give you an assurance here tonight? Anybody that write to us or even message us or call us, your church pastors wouldn't know. Okay? They wouldn't know, they won't get to know, because unless you tell me to tell them. Okay, the best is you yourself go and see them. The very thing they're inviting me, they're already telling you straight to your face, hello, we are here. Come and talk to us. We may not know a lot of things. We may not know everything or how, but can we just learn together with you? Give us a chance to walk with you. Give us a chance to be your support, or give us a chance to engage with you in hard conversation. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and allow and pass this time back to Pastor Isaac so that he can, take over from here. Thank you so much.